Hi everybody, welcome for our second last video on our channel YouTube, Titouan and Manon are woofing. So here we will speak about beekeeping because we had the chance to try it in HitFilm and Titouan will explain something about beekeeping. We hope that the video will enjoy you and see you!
So for the next couple of minutes what we will explain is just the structure of a beehive. So this is a demonstration hive, so it's one that has no bees in it, which is just used for the purposes of explaining the different components of the hive. So we begin here with the floor of the hive, okay? And it has a grill to allow for ventilation, which is very important in the hive. So that is the first part of the hive, the floor. Then we will introduce the brood box, the brood chamber, which we will put on top, okay? So we observe the depth of the hive. It is quite deep compared to the super. Perfect. So we layer it on top of the floor. Now inside of these we have the frames. So this is a foundation, wax foundation, that is put in when the frame is built, and the bees will build a comb in order to produce honeycomb. And within that, the queen, who is located in the brood chamber, will lay eggs in these cells. And then the bees, the worker bees, will also store honey on the outside. Now this hive, this frame is from last year, so there's a little bit of dust, but it is fine. So you will see that the cells are extended, drawn out by the bees, and then the queen will lay in each of those cells one egg, and then the bee emerges. So this is all brood, so there are bees that will be born in here. These are pollen stores, and these raised cells are drones, the male bees. Yeah. Then on top of that, when the hive is functioning at this time of year, it is very important to have a queen excluder. So this is a cage frame which has spaces that are only big enough for the worker bee to pass through, but the queen bee is too big to pass through these grills, and so she is restricted to the brood chamber. So only in this section will there be eggs laid. And then on top of this we put the super. So this is the section of the hive where the bees will store honey. So in this hive, what we can see here, again, we start with the frame, the foundation. This was made by Noemi last year. She was a woofer who was here in 2021, so she constructed this frame. So this has yet to be used by the bees, but I can show you some other examples in the hive where they have already extended the comb, and again they will store honey there. So throughout the summer, at this stage of the year, in May, most hives have at least 1 or 2 supers. But by the end of the summer, by the end of August, depending on the strength of the hive, you could have maybe 4 or possibly 5 supers on top of the hive. So the next part is very important. It's the crown board. It's the internal cover of the hive. So that is placed on like that. Very good. And then the final part is the roof. So the roof keeps the hive dry and keeps the water off. So this structure is a national hive which we use here in our apiary. It has a specific dimension for the frames, and it is treated with masonry paint just to preserve the timber. It's non-toxic, and the colors are dependent on what we had available. So that's the structure of the hive.
So Titouan, what are you doing?
I'm gonna wear my suit for beekeeping. So it's made in a white color because the bees cannot recognize this color. So it's a good way to avoid them. It's an integral suit. So first the legs. Then the arms, the hardest part, the mask, the head.
You have to be very careful to close it, because sometimes the bee, when they are angry, they will pass here.
This way, absolutely. So this is why you have to be really careful about the Velcro. So next the gloves. So first of all, you pull the long sleeves really close to your hand, because it will be really helpful with the bees. Up. So first, so you hold it like that, and then you put your gloves on. Up. One.
So there are three main utensils you need when you go to the apiary. The first is a smoker, which we fill with generally with cardboard or straw or material or timber, sawdust, and it billows, so the smoke will exit through this hole. And typically you will put some smoke at the entrance and then use it as you're doing your inspection, as it calms the bees. So that is the first thing that Titouan will bring. The second important tool is the hive tool. So it's this tool, and it is very useful for opening the hive, because sometimes it will be stuck together with propolis, so you can prise it apart, and it's very useful. So that is used all the time by beekeepers. And finally, a brush, which is very useful for brushing off the bees off the frames if you need to do the inspection.
So now I'm ready. I will go and make my inspection in the apiary.
The third part is about our session with the hive. So it's this time of the year, so May, we are checking some things to be sure that the hive is fine and is working. So first of all, we are looking for the queen bee to be sure that she's still here and she is laying eggs, because she is laying eggs every day. So we are looking for the queen.
Yeah, and I'm checking that there are eggs. I can see day-old eggs, so that confirms that the queen bee is still there. These are larvae, and you see this pattern, which is kind of circular, is a good indication of good breeding. So you can see the small eggs here on the edge. The small little white lines, they're the day-old eggs, so they were laid today. There she is.
When we check that, we are looking for the eggs who will made the queen bees. If there are some, we choose. If we save, so if we save the egg, so if it is, the last queen will leave, because there is only one queen per hive. And if we want to keep our queen in the hive, so we cut the eggs, which will give queen.
So this would be a queen cell, so I break it down because I'm not ready for a new queen here.
And finally, in this period, to conclude this video, in May, in this time of the year, every week we are making this checked to be sure that the hive is running. In HitFilm farm, they are making honey, and they can make candle with the waste of the hive.